It's so obvious. If you can pick the key narrative in crypto and a handful of projects early enough in that narrative, then you will make thousands of dollars in crypto. And that narrative that's emerging right now is DeepIn. More specifically within DeepIn, it's compute networks, of which we've already seen some huge success from earlier compute networks such as Render, Akash and others. But these projects have their shortfalls, and there's a bunch of new projects that are emerging with hugely more advanced tech that I think are likely to take over this space. All of these projects are launching very, very soon, and you have the ability to maybe get in to early sales on these projects. In this video, I'm going to break down what these 4 projects are and what we need to know about them if we want to invest. So hit the like button, let's get into it. Now guys, as I've already alluded to, DeepIn, decentralized physical infrastructure networks, is quite a broad narrative. It covers things like decentralized computing, decentralized storage, decentralized wireless networks like Helium, and other bits and pieces. But according to recent Messari reports, the biggest gainer is likely to be the compute networks. Why would that be? Well, if you subscribe to my channel, which hopefully you are by now, you're probably getting bored of this image wherever it is, because this image tells us something massively key. When we're thinking about picking narratives in crypto, we're thinking about picking a gap that is needing to be filled by a crypto project or a crypto narrative. There's no bigger gap, it seems right now, than something that's been caused by the growth of AI, and that's the ability for AI networks to scale. And if we look at this image on the left, you can see that it took ChatGPT just 2 months to gain 100 million users, and that was back in 2022. But that's been continually rising all the time, and now you've got the arrival of all sorts of other compute networks and everyone else trying to implement AI systems into their website, into their corporate structure, you name it. And this means that right now there's a massive amount of money flooding into the ecosystem. According to this image from io.net, the demand to run AI apps with compute power is going up 10x every 18 months, but every 18 months the supply is only going up 2x. This means whether you like it or not, you have to start moving towards using blockchain tech to solve this issue. And this is where these crypto projects come in today, because they can handle it. Now, I made this video recently about a render killer, talking about a new project which I'll feature in this video called Ether. And one of the biggest problems with Render, Akash, and a bunch of other projects is that due to the GPUs they hold, they aren't able to deal with a lot of the larger language model stuff things like ChatGPT run on. Therefore, while Render and Akash and various others are doing a lot of work for rendering scenes that can be used for metaverse and GameFi and all sorts of other bits and pieces, it doesn't have the appropriate hardware to fill that demand sector, that AI sector. And a couple of the projects I'm talking about today definitely do. So what's the main issue? Well, a lot of these GPUs are difficult to make. They're also incredibly expensive. And we're now seeing not only an explosion in AI, but crypto mining, which also uses GPUs, and very importantly, gaming. Gaming is also exploding, and that's also going to be a big driving factor in this kind of DeepIn compute narrative. Now, if you made it this far through the context and understanding the background, then good for you, because you're now head and shoulders above the rest who will just click through and find out the name of the project so they can go and buy them. Because the more we understand about the space, the more we understand about what is driving it forward, the more courage and conviction we can have in buying key projects when we see fit. Now, this is the first one we're going to talk about today, and it is GPU.net. Now guys, none of these projects are sponsored, and I don't favor any project over the other because they all do slightly different things. Now, as you can see from this website, GPU.net offers services across the board, from rendering graphics, mining cryptocurrency, training AI models. Remember those large language models, because they demand very heavily a specific type of GPU, ones that Render doesn't hold. And these multi-purpose GPUs are great because they mean that GPU.net can come in and plug a variety of different service demands. Now, let's think simply how this might work. If you're using ChatGPT, for example, you've probably realized that ChatGPT knows a lot of stuff, but originally it needed to be taught all that stuff. Imagine the quantity of information that was fed into projects like ChatGPT. It can typically cost thousands, if not millions of dollars to teach programs like this because of the cost of using GPUs to drive all this. Now, as well as that, traditional GPU cloud services are quite expensive, quite slow, and not always readily available. These services are provided by platforms like Amazon, Google, etc. But by using the blockchain, you can then use different nodes, which means you can always have supply available. It's much cheaper because you can use nodes and things around the world that are in less demand than others, and it means you can gain access to the very best GPUs. Now, GPU.net is mainly focusing towards generative AI, 3D, and Web3 industries, and you can basically see the map of how it all works here. So basically, whoever has a demand for the network will come in, and it's basically facilitating the whole kind of contract between those who are sharing their compute network ability with those who need or demand that particular stuff. Coming down below, you can see the comparison table between these new projects, one of which GPU, with the likes of Render in the past. And you can see by using processes like this, the cost is driven down, the privacy and the data encryption is much more significant, and you can also benefit from other tools and things like that. Because Render is using consumer-grade GPUs, it doesn't have the ability to handle the workloads that GPU.net can use. Again, this is a key partnership is with Nvidia, the world's largest producer of GPUs. Now you can come down and check out the roadmap. Currently it says it's on this phase, which is obviously out of date because it's now 2024. And GPU.net is not yet available for purchase. So when everyone's like, where do I buy this? Where do I buy this? All of these projects are launching potentially in the next few weeks, next month or so. But be patient, because if you catch them early and you know where to buy them, then you're going to kill it. Now, so you can see coming into 2024, they're going to be launching a few different bits and pieces. Most notably, they're going to be launching a proof of compute layer 1. They're trying to build up the community and all that good stuff, and they're trying to get a revenue of around $1.2 million. Now you can see you can launch the decentralized application. You can go and see all of the things that they're on offer here, and then the prices that they are offering. So you can see it's already a working product. It's already making money, which is great. And you can see the demand for them that they've got right now is pretty good because they're all like pre-books or they're already rented out. Okay, and they will continue to gain more GPUs. That's why they'll start to look for more investment to bring in more GPUs and ultimately build out their service. Now, in order to know when this project or any project is launching, make sure you're subscribed to my channel, guys, because I will bring you updates on this as it happens. Also, make sure you get into the free Telegram, which is linked down below, and people in there will keep you updated, okay? So you will never miss a thing. On to the next project, which is a bit of a monster. Now, GPU.net is smaller and earlier phase than IO.net, but looking into projects like this, you'll start to realize why those sort of first generation deep in projects are going to get blown out the water. Now, IO.net is basically an aggregator. It works by basically identifying lots of different clusters of GPUs around the world and then giving you the ability to use these different GPU networks. And here's a map that might show basically how that works. And you can see they have access to 20,000 GPUs from around 40 different countries, making it the world's largest digitalized GPU network ever. Now, what might be beneficial about this? Imagine that throughout the day, different parts of the world are busier than others, because right now it's 10:30 in the morning in the UK, it's 10:30 at night in New Zealand, or whatever time elsewhere. And you might realize this, that maybe where you live, the internet becomes really slow and really busy at certain times. The same is true for things like GPU servers and GPU networks. But if you can access a network from different countries, feeding that information towards you, then your speed of supply and anything like that is never going to be tainted. And here's an example of how this might work. Now you can see that this basically means that you get a consistent supply coming from everywhere. It means that the demand is never too high in any particular area and the prices are managed effectively, because you can get access to cheaper GPU servers when they're in lower demand, because simply supply and demand models. Now IO.net is quite interesting because you can come down below and it has a very informative website. Not only informative about this project, but it tells you why Deepin as a whole is a very interesting space to look. Here you can see you can create your clusters by choosing like your location. You can go and choose clusters that you want access to. Here we are, NVIDIA H100, the key chip involved in large language models. They also have this one, A100, and I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what all of these are, but it's very much important that these are enterprise grade GPUs, okay, which means that they are able to handle huge workloads in a more complex environment. And you can see instant payments with Solana. Now, IO.net is built on Solana and will likely benefit from the fact that the Solana ecosystem right now is a very exciting place to be, because it's seeing huge amounts of growth, trading volume, etc. And here's what I want to talk about again, okay? It seems to me, from my kind of understanding, my research, which, okay, there is probably more in-depth research you can do into these projects, and I recommend it if you were considering that you wanted to get into them, but you can see why people would use these decentralized projects, because they're 90% cheaper than using things like Amazon. They're faster, they're instant, they're quicker. It makes sense. Come down below, it's basically showing you all the other details of how this is all working. Again, this is a fully working product. And there's so much information through here. If you want to come and look at it, you can go and see basically all the work, all the different like nodes and things like that. You can go read into more about the tech and what really is sort of behind driving this project. Not only is this project partnered with Solana, it's also partnered with Render Network, but one thing about projects like this is a very big aggregator. It also has a huge network, a huge infrastructure already, and huge key partnerships. What does that tell you? It should tell you that, wow, that does sound good, but it's going to be a bloody expensive project when it first launches. Because it would have had to raise millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in order to be able to get to where it's at right now. Which means its valuation is not going to be like $10 at the start. Its valuation is going to be more like a couple of $100 million, maybe 300-400 million, something like that. But saying that, it does mean that it's less risky and the potential to see like bigger growth into the future. Remember, $1.7 trillion industry by 2030. Then there's a good chance that maybe something like this can take a chunk of that. And that's what you might be betting on. On to the next one. And this is becoming a bit of a crowd favorite. Interestingly, because I am starting to see people talking about this all the time. And I think it's because it kind of fits within a niche that people understand more easily in the kind of the GameFi space, rather than looking into like the compute and the AI sort of kind of like deep and difficult to understand stuff. Now, one of the main factors, the biggest growth catalyst behind Nvidia, which I think is now the 5th, maybe the 6th largest traded company in the US, is gaming. Now, gaming, as you know, is a big like a monster, okay? It's growing all the time. It's growing because the world's developing. Everyone now has access to computers. They have access to smartphones and getting way more complex with better graphics, more kind of AI integration, all that good stuff. Gaming, as a gamer, allows you to redistribute your excess GPU power back into the network. This is quite cool, okay? Lots of people who play games are kind of a bit more tech savvy than others, and effectively think of it like this. You can play video games while mining tokens. And this means that there's not like a high setup cost on nodes and things like that, because many of the smart gaming PCs, etc., are already extremely powerful, but they do come with their excess and it's a way to feed back into the networks. This again is something I really like about Deepin. This is proper like Web3 stuff, as you, the individual, gets to sit at home and actually just make cash for redistributing your wireless capability back to the network, redistributing your kind of storage space, redistributing back your compute power, so many different ways. And it's something that's actually getting me a bit more passionate about crypto, rather than just seeing crypto as a great way to make money. Now, coming down in gaming, you can see, again, relatively new project. They are launching a token, I think, sort of Q1 2024, might be wrong. Currently, you can see around $500,000 has been earned by people just playing video games, sharing back into the network. $4.5 million earned from esports tournaments in 2023, and 56.3 thousand monthly users. Okay, so which is actually really cool. So showing again, starting to make money. This is another key thing. Lots of people are like, oh, well, what about this project and this project that makes like nothing? These smaller projects that are actually making money have much lower risk than the other ones, in my opinion. Now, one thing that is worth noting here is this CoinMarketCap new incubatee. Now, firstly, I want to ask you, what makes a successful project in crypto? If you're like, well, it's successful because it's really good and people like it, well, they do. But actually, what's really important is people know about it. One of the biggest things is getting itself heard across multiple different people, multiple different places. And now I heard about this project from people in my community. And why they probably heard about it was because it's become a part of CoinMarketCap's incubatee program, which means they basically get guided through how to kind of set up as a new project. But most importantly, they get shared with users of CoinMarketCap, which has millions and millions of people looking at it every single month. Millions and millions of people looking into crypto projects who see a project like this because CoinMarketCap's advertising it to them. Now, coming down below, more stats about this. You can see delighted CoinMarketCap will be brand partners for our world-class esports organization Gaming Gladiators, who in 2023 achieved 12 billion media impressions and considerable success in their targeted gaming genres. CoinMarketCap, I was wrong, 64 million daily users. That's an absolute power play. Gaming seems to have a variety of different features from the gaming platform itself. Basically, it allows you to earn rewards, which you can then go and spend within the ecosystem by buying new games and things like that. So it's a great way to kind of keep an ecosystem alive. And this, I think, is really cool because capturing a group of gamers together can also be very beneficial, I think. They're also providing developer kits for new gaming developers, etc., to come in and use, and then like other bits and pieces like the Gaming Cloud, Gaming Gladiators, which is another organization for the esports and other bits and pieces like that. In terms of partners, one of the better funded ones around. Again, we could potentially anticipate a kind of a higher launch price. Now, there's a whole other page on the token. You can read about the token. It's quite obvious it's used within the ecosystem to pay rewards, to go and buy games, all these different bits and pieces. You can see all the basically distribution, 100 million tokens, who's going to get all these different tokens and all these other bits and pieces. A white paper here, guys. I'm not going to go into huge depth on it because I will always encourage you to do your own research. And I do think this project is going to be launching quite soon though, so definitely keep your finger on the pulse with that one. Now, last but not least, and a project that many are very excited about within my community because we have access to the pre-sale for this project. And how do we have access? Well, through the Inner Circle Discord, link down below in the description. 2 to 3 times every single month, we're partnering up with brand new crypto projects to be able to offer you pre-ICO investments. Typically, in the past, you would need $100,000, maybe $200,000 to invest in any of these new projects. What we do is we take that allocation and we distribute it amongst our followers, where you can buy in for like $500. And typically, many of the projects we invest in seed round mean that you can pick up tokens that will likely, on launch, do a 3, maybe even a 5x if all things go well. We invest alongside Binance Labs, Polygon Studios, and some of the other biggest companies in the game. But within the Inner Circle, you can link up with thousands of people around the world to talk about crypto, ask you questions, etc. You'll get trading signals in the trade zone that are being featured all the time by a handful of carefully selected expert traders, sometimes including myself if I see a suitable setup. I make exclusive videos for the community talking about different projects, such as Kazuna and Gaming, which I'm actually just finished talking about, and that was back on the 7th of February. Since then, Kazuna's up like 40-50%. Stuff on NFTs and gaming, airdrops, etc. This is all found in the link down below in the description. It's $19.99 per month, and you get access to everything just by joining through that link down below, guys. Next week, or the week after, we're going to be raising for Ether. And this is Ether. What is Ether? A distributed cloud infrastructure for gaming and AI. It's the one I featured in this video the other day about the render killer. What made this a render killer? Well, I've told you that Render has consumer grade GPUs at its disposal. It doesn't have the big hitting H100 NVIDIA chips that you need for large language models, okay? These chips are really expensive, very difficult to get hold of. Ether has a partnership with NVIDIA, which means it now has access to 20,000 H100 GPUs. Again, these are now distributed around in various different node locations to create a decentralized platform. Already has around 200,000 users. And interestingly, during the last year or so, Ether has made around $10 million and is projecting to make $20 million plus this year, which is interesting because according to that Massaria report, last year, within those kind of crypto projects that had already launched, their revenue was something like $15 million. So Ether is likely to be bigger than the entire DeepIn market put together back in 2023. Now again, it has key partnerships with the likes of Animoca brands and will likely launch onto one of the bigger exchanges out there, maybe such as Bybit or KuCoin, etc. Now again, similar to GPU.net, Ether basically provides a variety of different services because it has chips to provide those services, such as for gaming, such as for large language model training, and other bits and pieces. So it can do things like game-based porting, early game testing, cross-platform experience, blah, 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 okay? And also lots of other bits and pieces, such as AI visual interaction, AI interactions, and others. Now, I did make a significantly more detailed video about this, and I recommend going and checking that out, because it broke down Ether in far more detail than I'm going to be able to do on this. They're part of the NVIDIA Inception program, which is obviously a very big deal, and you can see all the details of their roadmap and things like that. So what's the learning point from all of these 4? They all do slightly different things. They all do it in slightly different ways. What we want to really focus on is, are they going to be able to deliver into a demand sector? Have they got the supply to be able to handle those demand sectors? I think all of these projects in slightly different ways are achieving that goal. Gaming targeting very much the kind of the game users and creating a whole ecosystem within gaming, which is very cool. I think Ether also targeting kind of GameFi, but also then going across large language models, a relationship with NVIDIA, well-funded, great revenue so far. Looking at GPU.net, smaller, which potentially offers us a better upside as newer investors, again with access to the right compute power, again with a key relationship with NVIDIA. You then got IO.net, a significantly bigger beast, partnered up with Solana, Render. Great tech, exciting going forward, but potentially because it's already a bigger project, difficult to see kind of better returns on investment. Like all of these projects, guys, they're likely to be hundreds of $1 million investments. And obviously, it's worth going and finding out more about these projects yourself. The more you research, the better you're going to get above the rest of the pack, guys. If you just watch and buy blindly, then you're going to get screwed like the majority of people. Now, today's video is in partnership with Meld.com, who are introducing a Web3 banking stack. As well as that, you can potentially enter for an airdrop worth $1 million in Meld tokens. Now, Meld is basically a neobanking app, similar to something like Starling or Monzo, where you basically transfer funds in, then you transfer them out to pay for different items. Now, slightly different to those in that Meld has crypto capabilities. This is really exciting because it means you can keep keep your money in Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies, transferring them in and out of exchanges, and then you have no worries about on-ramping and off-ramping to pay for different items. This is really exciting because in the future, where we're starting to lose maybe our confidence in the overall banking systems, it means we can keep our money in crypto, and when we need to go and pay for goods or services, we can just transfer it into our own currency, whether that's Singapore dollars, GBP, euros, USD, and use those funds to go and pay for things. Now it combines traditional finance with crypto, also it's cross-chain, and you can get various other different bits and pieces. But what I'm most excited about right now on Meld is this. If you click on the Meld DApp part at the top, and you come to where it says staking, then you can see that there's some really decent return on investment pools that you can get involved in. Now at the moment I haven't managed to get into any pools because they seem to sell out extremely fast, which means there's a very good demand in the overall Meld ecosystem. But if you are able to get into some of these pools, you can see you can earn up to 27% APR in Meld or up to 3.3% in Cardano. In terms of the highest TVL pools, you got Berry with $34 million in it, and then you can see down the list there's some significantly large pools available. You can see pools are currently all in use, and if you want to keep up to date, then you need to obviously come across, create your account here, which you can do through the link down below in the description. You can keep your eye on the pools and also follow them on Twitter because that's where they announce their new pools all the time. You can see by stakeable assets, you can click on the Meld one, then you can come down through, see that all of these are full right now. This one here, in fact, is actually available. You can see the pool size, the current yields available, and all the sort of different things that you need to do in order to get involved. And you can see like lockup periods, a number of delegators, all those different bits and pieces. Now, if you lock up for longer, you'll gain more rewards, but if you're only looking to lock up for like 6 months or a year, then you'll still earn significant chunks of cash. Now, simply to qualify for the airdrop, guys, you literally just need to click on the tab at the top, through the link down below in the description, then you'll come across and you can see you sign up to Meld, create your Meld DApp wallet and get early access pass. So potentially you can win $1 million worth of Meld tokens just by doing a few different things. It's going to cost you absolutely nothing. A bit of a no-brainer. Use the link down below in the description. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that video today. Lots of new information, lots of new projects. Make sure you hit the like button and you are subscribed if you want to continue to see information like this that no one else is talking about. See you later. Bye-bye.